Good evening, or good morning, or good night. I don't know what time it is as you're watching this video, but today I am going to explain to you how to write your lesson plans. So I would like us to take a look at this example, this stellar example of lesson plan one. Okay, we're going to go over each section. So the beauty and brilliance of multilingualism is the topic for lesson plan one. Notice the objectives. So the student will be able to understand that bi and multilingualism is a great skill to have and is good for the brain. Okay, so here the word understand would be the Bloom's taxonomy word that I'm looking for. The student will be able to know, I would probably put identify, is easier. The student will be able to identify how to say two words in another language other than English for this lesson. That language is Spanish. Okay, so the student will be able to identify, and then the student will be able to explain what linguism it means. So explain. Okay, so these are the Bloom taxonomy verbs that you should also be studying in your assessment class. We have understand, identify, and explain. So let's take a look at this right here. This Blooms. So when you're doing Blooms, it is very important. I'll do this, So when you're doing Blooms, it is very important that you understand that remember is considered your lower leveled questioning. And eventually you want to move your students to create. So since it's the first lesson plan of our unit, it's okay if you're going to stay here. If you're going to ask them to describe or explain, that's fine. But as you're writing these lesson plans, I want you to keep this in mind that you're moving up in the Bloom's taxonomy verbs for higher order, higher levels of thinking. Okay, so you want them to examine, you want them to be able to compose, you want them to be able to analyze, which is what you're going to do eventually. Okay, so now that we have our Bloom's taxonomy verbs and we have our objectives, now you're going to go to your standards. So if you already know the children that you're going to work with or child, their grade level, you can go directly to that grade level standard for language arts and social studies, or as a group you can decide which grade you want to focus on. Okay, and then when it's time for you to submit, you can revise that top portion for the grade level that you work with. So here the student has language arts standards, and then they have social studies standards. You want to make sure that these standards are aligned to your objectives. So the student will demonstrate an understanding of cultural contributions made by people from various regions, through art, through language. So here she has language, okay? I'll be primarily focused on language for this standard. The student will demonstrate an understanding of the local community, as well as the fact that geography influences not only the development of communities, but also the interaction between people and the environment. So I'm sure she's going to have some sort of geography in her lesson plan. Okay, let's keep on moving. This is self-explanatory, the materials. So this is the read aloud she's going to do, but everyone's going to do the same read aloud for lesson plan one, which is Hello by Rachel. And she's going to have a PowerPoint presentation, which I highly recommend that you have because you're going to have a lot of visuals and videos in your lesson, and it's just easier to keep everything in one place. And then her assessment is going to be a questionnaire. So we'll go back to that later, okay? Then she has her guided reading instruction. Now, a real great rule to remember is I do, we do, you do when you become a teacher. So I do means that you're modeling. So you're modeling what you want your student or your buddy or your group of children to be able to do. So she's starting off speaking Spanish with her buddy, okay? Then she's pointing out some words in Spanish in the read aloud. So she's talking about the differences between Spanish and English, about them being languages. And you're going to do that with your read aloud. Then she's talking, so there's two different languages. Okay, this is all modeling. She's introducing the word multilingual. Okay? What does that word multi mean? Now she's even that's another standard if you wanted to. That could be setting in prefix, right? Multi. Um, then she's still doing it, but that she's going to introduce other terms. That's all I do. Then we do. We will watch and view the PowerPoint together and talk about the videos and images. I will ask her if she has any questions about the PowerPoint. So now they're having an exchange. Okay, we're investigating, we're looking through it together. And then it is you do, the buddy. Now the buddy is going to do a questionnaire and she's going to complete it independently. So you want to make sure you're modeling something, you're doing it together, and you're scaffolding them so now the child or the group of children can do it on their own independently. So then that leads you to your assessment. Remember that your assessment always has to be aligned to your objectives. That might sound like common sense, but oftentimes I do not see that. So that's why I'm saying it several times. Okay? So for example, she did an amazing job by giving me the questions in her questionnaire, and then she went as far as to telling me what objective this is aligned to. So what new words did you learn today is objective number 2. So she knows that she's aligning her assessment with her objectives. What does it mean to be bilingual? That's objective number 1. I highly recommend you do the same so you make sure that your assessment is aligned to your objectives. She did a questionnaire. It's up to you if you want to do a questionnaire, if you want them to write a story and you have a rubric. It is to have them draw a picture depending on the grade level. If you want them to do a spider web, I don't know. There's many different ways that you can assess. And you think about your assessment class. You can pull from that as long as your objectives are aligned to your assessment. Okay? And then the last portion that you're going to turn in would be, for your lesson plan, would be the rationale. Okay? Why are you doing this work? Notice I highlighted here for you. She cites work that she has read in the class. Okay? She has a direct citation. She forgot the year. So make sure you have correct APA with the year and the page number and make your connection. I'm doing this because this is what research says. This is what we read in this class. This is what we read in my reading methods class. And this is why this is important. Okay, not just because it's fun, but I want to make sure you're making connections between your theory and your practice. So I expect to see that here. And here she has one direct quote or one reference. I want to see at least more than one. Okay. Now let's take a look at her PowerPoint that she included. So she uploaded her lesson plan that she wrote in Word doc, and now she has her PowerPoint. Okay, that this is what she's going to show with her buddy. So beauty and billions of multilingualism. So here because she focused on Spanish, that's what she has, right? So this was the book that she read, okay? She has just the front cover of the book, which is fine. And she's asked, these are the questions that she's asking. What languages are they speaking, okay? And she has an example from the book. And then she actually translated as well in the book. She has a video. Now notice that she downloaded the video and embedded it in the PowerPoint because oftentimes you do not have access to YouTube when you're at the school site. So it's very important that you embed these videos prior to going to the school to conduct the lesson. So then she has a video about being bilingual, okay? And she asked the buddy to find out how many children are bilingual in this video. I'll just show a little bit of it.
Εγώ μιλάω αγγλικά και ελληνικά. I am American. Y en inglés y español. I am American. Je parle français, anglais et espagnol. I am American. 我讲中文和英文，I'm American. En English, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, I'm American. Ini Inggrisnya, ina Amarinya, ina grabo. I'm American. मैं हिंदी और इंग्लिश बोलता हूँ. I am American.
Okay, so you see how it's kid friendly, and she's able to talk about, in this video, she can talk about bilingualism and multilingualism. Okay. Now here she has a map. I'm not sure what she talked about, but I'm sure she probably talked about the different languages across the world. Okay. So speaking more than one language helps you get along with people all over the world. Here she has another video.
Studies show that there are many benefits to learning another language besides just being bilingual, especially for children. Bilingual children have been proven to be better problem solvers and critical thinkers. How? Having more linguistic and cultural information at the ready enables bilingual children to see different aspects of the problem. Bilingual children are more flexible in their reception and comprehension to new information.
Now, depending on the grade level, I don't know if this is kid friendly, but you would definitely have to stop and talk about what do these terms mean, depending on the grade level of your children. So make sure you're picking kid friendly resources.
Studies show that there are many
So some people are not just bilingual, they're multilingual. Okay, so now we're going from bilingualism to multilingualism. What are some ways you use language at home that other people may not? So then, what do you call things like a buggy, right? So this was actually something that I had to learn because I'm from up north, and I remember when I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and somebody said, "You're gonna use your buggy," and I was just like, "What?" They were like, "You're gonna use your buggy," and they were pointing at the shopping cart, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna use it. You can use it." So this is a great way to talk about language as well with children. Okay, so I'm sure you get the point now of what is expected from your lesson plans. And on her last slide, she has what does linguism mean? And she talks about discriminating against someone for using more than one language or using a language that is different from someone else's. Okay, so now she's going to have images and explain it to the buddy. Okay, so notice she has visuals, she has videos. You can include songs if you want. She has a read aloud. Okay, make sure that it's kid friendly. Make sure it's engaging. Make sure that you stop and ask questions so you know that your buddy or the group of children that you're working with is comprehending and reaching your objective. If you have any questions, I'm always here to answer them. Thank you.